What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt. So before the Nintendo Switch launched, there was this huge debate about whether the Nintendo Switch was going to use the Tegra X1 Maxwell architecture or the Tegra X2 Pascal architecture. And the Pascal architecture was 16 nanometers, while the Maxwell X1 was 20 nanometers. And as I pointed out in the video back then, the original leak on Nvidia supplying the Nintendo Switch processor at all was that it was supposed to use Pascal architecture. But there was a lot of back and forth on which of that was true. And there was a rumor going around for a long time that while the X1 was just in the current Nintendo Switch development kits, but that the final hardware would be upgraded to the 16 nanometer Pascal architecture X2. But we all know what ended up happening. The Nintendo Switch launched with the Tegra X1. And a lot of people assume that because of that those Pascal rumors had no merit and they were never true, and that chip just wasn't suited for the Nintendo Switch anyway, and that Nintendo had never even looked in that direction. That might not be true based on something I just found here. So I found a LinkedIn profile for a person that was a software Q&A engineer for Nvidia. This person worked there from 2016 to 2021, and it's just some of the things that they were responsible for. Power management and testing using Tegra, Power Profiler, and NIDAC for Nintendo and Shield devices, functional and performance testing on Nintendo Switch, worked on initial power test enablement on Nintendo Lite, I'm assuming they mean Nintendo Switch Lite, with system engineers for board rework, own Nintendo power and performance testing and help deliver quality, efficient products to the customer. They also worked on Nvidia Shield product testing, Jetson and Quill, Linux and Android. Now here is where it gets interesting. They said executed power and performance per watt measurement tests on Tegra SoCs, plural, Tegra X1, Tegra X2 on Nintendo. So this is an Nvidia employee or ex-employee telling you right there that they performed tests for the Tegra X1 and the Tegra X2 on Nintendo Switch. So ultimately, Nintendo ended up going with the Tegra X1, but this right here proves that they at least heavily considered going with the X2 for the Nintendo Switch. Now, a lot of people say the reason they didn't go with the Tegra X2 is because the Denver CPU that the X2 uses isn't as well suited for gaming, supposedly, as the Tegra X1. But on the flip side, going with that chip would have doubled the Nintendo Switch's texture bandwidth. So I guess it was a give and a take there, but ultimately Nintendo decided to go with the Tegra X1. But I do think that's interesting that after all this time, we found out that technically both rumors were correct. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section.